Story 1. I would wear a top hat and a monocle everywhere, but I wouldn't change anything else about my wardrobe. I would hang out with friends and show up wearing sweatpants, an old t-shirt, and the top hat and monocle combination, looking like Mr. Peanut's least favorite nephew. Story 2. My sudden and complete lack of concern regarding my longevity at my job is notable. I wouldn't quit and I wouldn't be actively trying to get fired, but I also wouldn't care about trying to keep it. It's all I can do to muster up the effort to try to keep it now. So, yes, it would be subtle but noticeable if anyone were paying attention. Edit. An important word. Story 3. Suddenly cutting off people I should have removed from my life long ago. The fewer people who know, the better it is. Story 4. A tank parked in my driveway. Not a large one, though. Probably a smaller version so it wouldn't attract much attention. Story 5. None of my jeans would have holes or stains, and all my t-shirts would be plain but clearly well-fitted. My truck would always have fuel, be clean, and well-maintained. Whenever my friends and I go out to eat, the bill somehow never makes it to the table. Our local no-kill shelter suddenly has a large new addition. Story 6. Can't believe it's not already here. I'll tell you what I would do. 2 women at the same time. Story 7. None. No signs. Quietly get a financial advisor and invest according to their advice to supplement the basic income one already have from work. Story 8. I would suddenly have a mini indoor pool and otters to go with it. You would never see me again, but you would hear me saying things like, "It's so cute. I'm going to die," if you pressed your ear against my front door. Story 9. There is a row of houses in town I would buy so my mom, sister, and my wife's parents could all live close to us. Story 10. It really depends on how much I won. Let's say 1 million. I would buy a house with numerous issues, fix it up and make it my own. I would tell people I finally settled for a poor interest rate loan. They would never suspect a thing. With 10 million, I would probably start my own construction and development firm. I would act as a supervisor and make it seem like the boss is someone who never shows up. This wouldn't last long, but it would give me some time. With 100 million or more, I just wouldn't be around as much. I would be constantly traveling, only coming home during the holidays and for important events. Everyone would get a cool gift from my travels. I would tell people I'm a consultant overseeing large projects. I would even fly some friends and family out and cover all their expenses, including their salaries. Once it's all said and done, my family is secured. Whatever is left over would be donated. Story 11. I would stop complaining about cleaning after my boys. The first order of business is to get them their own homes. Story 12. Not engaging in any argument or debate with people. You believe the earth is flat? Yes, I believe it is flat too. Story 13. Professional cat sitter for whenever I go on a trip. No more having to ask anyone to take care of them. I would hire someone to handle clothes shopping for me, including style recommendations. Story 14. I would have my old car professionally polished and then I would take care of it in a dry garage, always keeping it in excellent condition. Story 15. Sell my current house and move away without a trace or word to others, except for those I truly keep in contact with, such as my son, ex-wife, best friend, and sister. I will also resign from my job suddenly, without notice or contact with anyone. Story 16. I would be in better shape. Since I wouldn't have to worry about working anymore, my focus would be on my physical health. Additionally, I would be traveling more often to attend concerts. Story 17. Absolutely. I have a plan for if I ever win the lottery. I won't tell anyone and will keep purchases small but reasonable. For example, I need a new car, but I don't need a Ferrari, and I'm perfectly happy with something slightly older as long as I can fit in it and it gets the job done. Any other purchases or upgrades would be focused on improvements around the house, and even then, those would be quite subtle, so it shouldn't draw too much suspicion. Story 18. It might seem that I have a new best friend forever. Suddenly, I am more organized, always on time, and my clothes fit better and are not wrinkled. I appear to be overall more put together. However, that is my personal assistant who takes care of my entire life. Yes, my closet is organized by color now, but most of the laundry never makes it to a hanger. This is the way I envision my life if I cared, but my assistant cares for me. Story 19. I wouldn't tell anyone, but friends and family would probably be able to guess. I wouldn't buy yachts, diamond jewelry, brand name clothing, a Ferrari, or anything like that, but I'd still purchase a really nice house in the suburbs and a penthouse condo in the city, furnishing it with quality decor, appliances, and entertainment technology. You really can't transition from lower middle class to that without experiencing a sudden massive surge of money, which would probably only come from winning the lottery, as even life insurance payouts likely wouldn't cover it. Story 20. A large amount of land with a hidden cabin, off the grid. Only my love would know. I would leave my job and take a part-time position in the arts, downplaying my income. Many anonymous gifts would also arrive, but since I'm working part-time, I would have plausible deniability. Story 21. Go to concerts and interesting shows near me with high-quality seats, maybe even VIP if I am very engaged. Watch every new movie I am interested in at the cinema. Offer to pay for my friends' drinks on most occasions and not charge them for any help I provide. Declining if they offer to pay me back. Purchase more expensive groceries. Have a really nice OLED television with surround sound. Also, buy a pair of Sennheiser headphones. Story 22. My calm during rare stressful times at work raises questions like, why are you still at work? I try to act as if I did not win the lottery. Story 23. Model trains. I would finally get a really nice digital command control controller and then probably the most expensive HO scale big boy I can find under $1,000. Story 24. Buy another house further from my coworkers, who say it was purchased due to poor credit. Avoid annoying old coworkers and acquaintances. I will state that I risked everything and started a business. Invest in funds, land, and warehouses for rent around the cities. Support some companies as a business angel. I would start to travel more around Europe, enjoy good food, and spend time listening to music in my audio rooms with high-end equipment. I would live my life comfortably. Story 25. I would quickly go from having no laptop to a high-end one, along with a high-end tablet. I would upgrade from my aging Kia to something much nicer, but not extravagant like an Audi, Lexus, or even a Toyota. Story 26. Besides having a second car, you wouldn't really notice. I would still go to work, keep my house, and live normally. I might buy a second vacation home in my dream area, but you wouldn't see that as it would be kept private and off social media. Story 27. One day, I will move my belongings out of my current house and into a brand new home on the land I purchased. I will also have a new vehicle in my driveway and new furniture. Story 28. I would buy a large number of pugs or possibly invest in high-quality equipment for a home studio. Story 29. I would buy a Kenworth W900 with a coffin sleeper. I am already a truck driver, so it would not be suspicious. I do not have to stay overnight in the truck that often, so I would not need a full-size sleeper. I will just tell my boss that I bought my own truck and want to be an owner-operator at the company now. It should not be too big of a deal. I would probably also try to reduce my hours, and since I would be an owner-operator, that should not be too hard to manage. I might be losing money at that point, but after winning a good-sized jackpot, I think it will be fine. Story 30. I would suddenly buy a dip for my chips that won't go off for a week, rather than the ones at a quarter of the price at the end of the day that have one day left before their best before date. Story 31. Clothes that are not 10 years old. A car that I do not have to boost every other day. Children with nice belongings, like a new fridge. Story 32. The winner's name is Gagnanti. Every time I go to the store, I keep hearing the machine announcing his name as the winner. That person is always winning, and I don't understand why no one is investigating this. Story 33. I would have the new model year of my current car. I would build a house, but not one visible from the road. If people ask to come see it, I would make excuses. Story 34. My friend's father passed away, and rather than splitting everything among the 4 children, he received the entire inheritance and a quarter of the house. He was thriving financially. I tried to advise him to be as discreet as possible. Did he listen to me? No. He bought us everything he could think of, including a vehicle with cash. We kept telling him no and to stop buying things, but he gave it all away. It took him 2 years, and now he is living in a small trailer, has lost all his friends due to greed, and is slowly paying his bills from a disability. As for me, there would be no major changes. Well, I would take out a loan for a 3-bedroom home with a basement, but that's about it. My car works, and my family is happy. Actually, you know what? There would be a couple of changes. My gas tank would be full 100% of the time, and we would always have food in our fridge. That's it. Story 35. Landing on the roof of my job in a helicopter and carving my resignation letter into the boss's desk with a golden chisel. Story 36. I will start applying for low-paying, low-stress small government jobs. There is a person who works for my municipality and puts in 3 hours a day. His salary is likely low, but the office is closer to my home than the store where I buy my bread. I will not need much money to survive, just enough to slow down my expenses. Story 37. My 6-year-old Volkswagen GTI would be replaced by a brand new R model. For those unfamiliar, these cars look the same. I personally have to check the badge to be certain which is which. Story 38. I would stop discussing my student loans and suddenly have a mid-range new vehicle and a more comfortable couch. Story 39. The people close to me will know. Nobody else will. I just quit my job. I would move to a different part of the country, but I have been saying that for 20 years already, so it wouldn't surprise anyone if I did. Story 40. I will see my tattoo artist every month. I will also return to the doctor and dentist. I might get a personal trainer as well. Story 41. My area would start improving. I would coordinate with a local nonprofit I already work with and discreetly fund an account that would distribute a set amount of dollars each year for projects that benefit the environment, farmers, outdoor recreation, and affordable housing. I would also fund some large projects immediately and start purchasing land to preserve or sustainably develop. Where I work, we are already involved in these initiatives, distributing approximately $2 million a year from the state and other entities. However, having fewer restrictions on how I could spend it would be helpful. Story 42. All of a sudden, I became a master in my creative hobbies, guitar and dance, and I became extremely fit with a personal trainer. So, think about an average guy who's a blend of John Mayer's guitar skills, Thor's physique, and great dancing. The house I would buy would be a typical middle-class house, so that would be one cover. However, an early 30s millennial buying a house while having a personal trainer, guitar lessons, and dance classes is somewhat suspect. Story 43. Not much would change. Really. I would probably invest most of it and live off the interest. I don't need that much money to be happy. Just enough to keep a roof over my head, decent food, and video games. My family is another matter. I would ensure they wouldn't have to work anymore. Story 44. I currently do not overpay for items out of principle, such as not paying airport prices for snacks. If I suddenly did not mind paying $11 for a regular bottle of beer, my friends would know something is wrong. Story 45. My wardrobe would consist of the best-fitting pieces made from high-quality materials such as supple leather, cashmere, and premium wool blends. There would be no flashy name brands, but I would look and feel great. Story 46. I would feel more relaxed in life and might actually be able to get a restful night's sleep on a decent mattress. Story 47. I would live in the same city as my mother with my girlfriend and the dogs, making art and selling it online. She wants to create clothing and other items, so we would use the basement as our crafting and gaming room because I would also have some arcade cabinets there. Story 48. Buying all the lower-income properties in my area, demolishing them, and then developing the land, all under a limited liability company, while acting like I am just a regular worker at my day job. Story 49. Call in sick when necessary, and then I will formally resign when I decide to return. Story 50. You will see more USDA Prime and almost no USDA Select beef cuts in my shopping cart. Loan bills will stop arriving in the mail, and you might notice new perfumes. I will drive the same car, have the same job, live in the same house, and have my child in the same school. The best way to avoid attention with the lottery is to live a frugal life as if nothing has changed. Story 51. I would go to the dentist and pay them $6,000 to extract my molars. I would continue to work part-time at the greenhouse, but with less pain and probably buy food. I might even fix my car so I could reliably get to work and find a place to live by myself, feeling like a real part of society again. Story 52. Become a collector. Collect coins, swords, knives, physical video games, and wine. You might wear a different Apple Watch band every day from a collection of over 50 bands. Perhaps include some unique items for no specific reason. I saw a post some time ago showcasing a collection of Pringles cans of all the different flavors. Story 53. I would have nicer tailored clothes. I would wear fitted t-shirts and tailored pants. I would also stop caring about smaller things and not work as hard at my job. Story 54. I would be debt-free, living in a nice house on Long Island and renting out multiple buildings in Queens and Brooklyn. This is the goal, but if I won the lottery, you would see this accomplished much faster. Story 55. I experience a little lag in my online games, although I often complain about it. My Steam and Discord accounts indicate that I spend 90% of my waking hours in virtual reality games. The dark circles around my eyes have disappeared for a week. My landlord received a Christmas card, and I have gained an additional 20 pounds. I also see posts on Reddit asking if I am the antagonist in situations. Story 56. Buy organic and from local farms. I would buy a rack of lamb and cook it, then enjoy every bite. I love lamb. It's my favorite meat. The last time I could afford to eat it was about 8 to 10 years ago. So yes, I am buying a rack of lamb and looking forward to indulging in it. Story 57. I will not be working any overtime that is not on my schedule. I have a strong commitment to overtime. I will keep my job and work as expected until some time passes after the lottery draw. The money is in my account, investments are set up, and a law firm is hired to protect my interests. Then I plan to leave my job about 18 months after I claim my winnings, so it doesn't appear too close to the lottery draw. After that, my family will move to wherever we choose. We may sell the house with everything non-essential left inside and start completely fresh. Story 58. Happiness would bring a drastic change. I would be more carefree and not at work. Instead, I would be on a jet ski, enjoying my days rather than spending my life on tasks that seem pointless, making money for others as if they won the lottery. Story 59. I work from home, so my car won't be outside my house as much anymore. My new job will focus on improving physical fitness, allowing me to better enjoy my new life. Eventually, I will have a nicer house in a better neighborhood, which will be a positive sign. My mother will be able to afford more things and eventually live in a different place. Once I have investments and a full understanding of my finances, with the goal of creating generational wealth, I will start taking more significant actions like paying off family student loan debt. I'm not afraid of confrontation or cutting people out of my life. I believe my family would be calm about my decisions, though I wouldn't be overly concerned if they weren't. I just want time to settle in and fully understand my new situation. Story 60. I am a woman who currently works as a full-time caregiver for my grandmother with dementia. Honestly, I would pay for a caregiver to live with us and I would return to work in an office job like my previous one. Home renovation projects completed. I would anonymously pay off the student loans of all my nearest and dearest and just pretend that I had my loans paid off too, so no one could figure out it was me. I would take my dream trip to see the Middle East and set up college funds for all of my friends' children. The list goes on and on. Story 61. Absence at work, resignation, some cosmetic procedures, purchasing that house, buying that car, doing that expensive once-in-a-lifetime experience, and exploring the world. Story 62. Depending on the amount won, my mother would be living near me in her own place. I would have my food truck. My closest friends would have some small debts paid off. Story 63. Buy only organic produce, as they are expensive in the Netherlands. Purchase clothes that are not made in sweatshops, as some brands are. I cannot afford all cruelty-free products because they tend to be costly. Additionally, consider traveling more. Story 64. I probably wouldn't fall asleep at my desk at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I would either quit my day job or stop driving for 5 hours beforehand. Story 65. I would hire billboards featuring a picture of my backside to make sure people recognize me. After that, I would repay all the money I owe to everyone and treat my friends to a lovely meal. Story 66. You would never know, but I would be much happier if I were not internally stressing over money and the future. A real vacation for myself could be a solution. Story 67. It depends on the lottery and the size of the jackpot. If it's a couple of million, I would probably feel happier and stress-free without the burden of bills. If it were tens or hundreds of millions, the impact would be significant. I would have the resources to pursue any new hobbies I desire, purchase a house in the woods by a lake further north, and build a workshop. I would start woodworking, work on an ambitious project car, and buy another. I would create a high-end desktop for my computing needs and invest in a quality audio system to enjoy music from any room. I would buy a digital single-lens reflex camera and take photos of things I find beautiful. I would cook the meals I truly want to prepare, rather than settling for the easiest options due to lacking a dishwasher and having a small kitchen. I would build a home gym and begin exercising. Story 68. I would look better. I'm not a big spender, and I don't see myself indulging in cars or mansions. However, I would invest in good dental care, skin care, and nail care. Definitely hair care and styling. I would also find time and money for a good trainer or exercise classes. I wish I had more money. Story 69. I would have decent shoes, decent clothing, the refrigerator would always be full, and I would spend more time with friends. Story 70. I would disappear completely. I would probably fly to Vietnam and spend the rest of my life pampering my fiancée and her daughter. Story 71. I honestly wouldn't quit my job if I won the lottery. I really love what I do, and I wouldn't keep it anonymous either. I could care less who finds out. I'm still not giving anyone a dime. Story 72. I would buy not one but two family-sized packs of Cathedral City at the same time in cash, no mortgage needed. Story 73. I would buy my house instead of renting it. I would have a greenhouse built for my mom and fully refurbish my old truck. Story 74. Pay someone to paint and decorate the inside of my house because I dislike decorating. I would also set up a home gym, hire a trainer, and engage a nutritionist to prepare all of our meals and snacks for the week. The most satisfying part would be to become a secret Santa to families who need significant items for a loved one with disabilities, such as wheelchair-accessible vans, home modifications, ramps, ceiling lifts, and roll-in showers. Story 75. My death during the following month will be surrounded by distractions. I'm guessing that would be the most subtle moment leading to that. Yikes, that would be an interesting month. Story 76. My main dream is to win the lottery and not quit immediately. Instead, I would express my real opinions. When that one manager sends her usual cryptic email instead of politely asking for clarification from her assistant, I will respond with, "Did you have a stroke writing this? Or did all those paint chips you ate off your grandmother's house finally kick in? Why quit when I could bring joy to my fellow coworkers who appreciate it?" Story 77. My mom would no longer feel the stress of the mortgage as it comes out of her fixed income, and my wife and she would shop together much more often. Story 78. Tens of millions? Probably not too noticeable. A house in Malibu, constant vacations, and fun parties that are catered weekly. Story 79. Good friends, even those I have only known for less than 6 months, who were dealt a difficult hand and are in serious debt with student loans, would have their debt paid in full and in complete anonymity. Most of them I would likely not see again after a year, but knowing they have a healthy work-life balance brings me joy. Some of them are working extremely hard and barely spending time with their loved ones. The subtle sign, if they were to ask around, would be me smiling and waving while denying I had anything to do with it. Smiling and waving is a clear indication that I did something that those who know me have picked up on. Story 80. I would travel to visit my friends more often. Almost every weekend, I would fly to another city just to spend time with a friend or group of friends. Story 81. I would gradually become healthier. I would finally be able to visit the doctor and purchase better groceries. Story 82. It completely depends on the sum. If it were a sum of 100 million, I would continue to work with what I love, but travel differently and perhaps with an in-house chef when we are at home. Story 83. My friend is my boss, so I would work my notice out of respect and gratitude to him. However, by the last day, I would likely be driving to work in a Bentley or Jaguar. Story 84. Nothing subtle. As soon as I figured out the cash flow so I would never have to work again, I would quit my job, sell my house, and move somewhere inexpensive and pleasant. Very few people I know now would ever hear from me again. Story 85. I would not stay in the country. I would continuously be away, and only those closest to me would know how to contact me. Story 86. All of a sudden, I would be assigned a different truck at work, one that looked really new, with a small lease to label above the company logo. Story 87. First-class tickets for all my travels. That is about it, and it is mostly because of my size rather than for the luxury. Story 88. I would obtain my driver's license. I live in Germany, and it costs around $3,500. As an edit, I would need to rush to finish it in about 2 weeks, which increases the cost slightly. Story 89. Super subtle. New contact lenses. Less subtle. Hire a personal trainer for several sessions each week. Story 90. I would probably just keep buying more motorcycles, but I would get a larger plot of land with a climate-controlled garage to store them properly. The larger house and plot of land would be primarily for my wife's garden, so she can continue doing what she loves, while the garage would be for me. A 4-car garage can hold many bikes. People often do not realize how much proper protective gear costs or how expensive motorcycles are. They see a motorcycle and do not think twice, even when looking up from their phones on the road. To the average person, I would still look pretty normal. In rural Ohio, nobody thinks twice about having an acre or two or about owning a nice house on it. It would be easy to get away with having won the lottery with my lifestyle. It would just mean a few more vacations and probably a membership to a local raceway for seasonal trips. We would likely live the same way and not worry about groceries or taking care of our daughter. I would still go to work to maintain my benefits, including local and national pensions. Just because you have a lot of money does not mean it will last forever without some income coming in. I might have to act disappointed during seasonal layoffs while booking flights out of town to the West Coast, where it is riding weather in the winter. Healthcare is incredibly expensive, so maintaining those benefits would be advantageous. I would probably never volunteer or ask for overtime. I would be happy being a journeyman, but I would also gladly accept the responsibility of being a foreman. I would treat my colleagues to lunch whenever I could, and they would just assume it is from the foreman's pay being shared around. I guess it does pay to work and be in a sheet metal workers union. I have had time to think about this during coffee and lunch breaks every day while driving home at 3 p.m. Not much would change, just a little less stress. Story 91. I would move. I would buy a home with cash and then hire an accountant. Maybe I could go back to school, as I have wanted to for years. Story 92. I am calling my boss from my vineyard in northern Italy. Story 93. Credit cards would be paid off and no one would be the wiser except for the credit card companies, of course. Story 94. I will probably leave my job, pack up, and immigrate to Australia, picking up fun jobs while traveling around. It's not subtle, but that's my choice. And of course, I will buy good quality cheese or something. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.